week in racing. It's time to recap it. And who better to do it than Michael New Magic? Two bros/pros who cover the highs and lows of racing around the globe on every one of their shows. Real fans look forward to these guys and their last stunts, cause they know they're not talking out of their royal ascot. What they say makes sense. So ladies and gents, sit back and relax as Blinkers Off presents The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is the Magic Mike Show, episode 283.
Huzzah!
Mr. Summich, happy belated birthday / Father's Day to you. Being a mid-June birthday, it's kind of nice when you get both days to fall on it together, so congratulations. How was it?
It was good, man. It was good. It was very busy. Obviously, we have family that lives around us, and so spent some time with the family, painted some nice birdhouses, busted out the sparkle paint, which was pretty exciting. So it was a lot of fun. It was a good day all around. Got a little drunk at night, but it was a good time. This morning was a little rough, but we're here.
Hey, that's okay. It's a 2-for-1 celebration. You're allowed to celebrate like that. Got to celebrate my first Father's Day by mostly taking care of an extremely fussy newborn.
Yeah. Welcome to fatherhood.
Yeah, exactly. He wasn't very happy, and every time I would talk to somebody on the phone, they were like, "Well, yeah, this is your life now." I'm like, "Thanks, appreciate it." Not in the mood for that right now, but you know what I am in the mood for, Mike, is talking about horses. We had a little bit of a slower weekend still. I think things are going to start ramping up here pretty soon in the world of horse racing, but we figured why not take one more shot at that late pick 5 at Canterbury Park, which has that 10% low takeout. We love supporting these tracks. Canterbury is a gorgeous looking track. You can see if you're watching live or the replay just how nice that turf course looks. We just need it to stay on the turf this time and not get rained off like last time. I checked the weather. We should be pretty good to go for that. Yeah,
and this is one of those days where they're going to try and do everything they can to stay on the turf. They've got that 10% takeout, the late pick 5. It's 50-cent denomination. If you want to stretch it out and play a pick 6, there's a $1 pick 6 with a 10% takeout there as well. There's a carryover going into tomorrow. It's small, like $2,000 or something, but there'll be a pretty big pick 6 pool on Wednesday as well. So if you want to try and get a little skinnier in a couple of these legs and play a pick 6, that's definitely something that's worthwhile taking a shot at too.
It was a great week of Royal Ascot races. It was a lot of fun, even though poor Stradivarius, I'm still really sad that he didn't get the trip and didn't get the win that day. It was great having Caleb Keller on last week. I know that the tickets that you guys put together didn't end up hitting. There was a little bit of a wacky result in the middle that threw everything off. Otherwise, you guys were all over that sequence. So that was pretty fun. But what was the best thing that you saw this weekend, Mike?
Man, there's a lot of different options. I've been enjoying the Euro tournament, the Euro Cup that's been on during the day. And Denmark today advancing was absolutely incredible in their home stadium, being able to win 4-1 to get through and have Belgium score late to win that game and kind of set it up so they make it through the round of 16 after someone having a heart attack on their team on the field like 9 days ago. Pretty crazy.
Talked about that last episode. Yeah.
The best thing I saw, man, and this is probably one of the easier ones we've ever done. How can you not love Ostrolenka? I mean, that poker effort yesterday was absolutely incredible. She comes through, she wins the grade 3 poker. And like, let's just take a second here and talk about this. It's a 6-year-old mare facing the boys, first off. I'm sorry, 7-year-old mare facing the boys here. So a little bit over her head in that sense. She is one of the only 2 grade 1 winners in there, and she did win the grade 1 Jaipur over that track. So she likes Belmont. But not only that, she was carrying a second person in there. She's involved into mischief. A pregnant horse beat Raging Bull in a graded stakes at Belmont. How is that not the best thing you saw? I mean, literally at one point on the backstretch, I'm sitting there, I'm watching the race with my daughter next to me, and in my head, I'm thinking, they just need to retire her, man, because she missed the break. She's like 15 lengths back. It was absolutely unbelievable. And then all of a sudden, she just goes rolling. And look, Raging Bull didn't get a perfect trip, but Raging Bull never really got stopped either. And they went 133 for the mile. Absolutely amazing performance. I mean, for her to win while being pregnant, carrying an extra horse, yeah, that's great. You get a little bit of weight allowance. You have a horse in the belly too. That's a negative on that side. So it was absolutely incredible to see her win a graded stakes, and it's a horse that we've talked about a ton on this show. So to see that effort and her to come through was absolutely awesome.
You stole mine. I thought for sure I knew where you were going with it, and that's not it. No, this is. I was telling Mrs. Magic yesterday just how incredible it was that she did that. First of all, so you mentioned she won the Jaipur last year, almost the exact same thing where she misses the break. She's not on the computer screen for most of the race, and then in the middle of the far turn, you just see her kind of close, and she's just steadily improving. And Rosario's just tipping her around, hands and heels, gets her going, and he waits it almost seems like he waits too long, and then he knows right exactly when to press the button on her. Absolutely incredible effort from her, and you're right. She's in full into mischief. This was going to be her last race no matter what. For her to go out like that, and by the way, this is a horse who's like a 5, maybe 6 furlong horse. She won a 1-turn mile at Belmont and dusted Raging Bull. I mean, this was supposed to be Raging Bull's exact setup. An easy win for him going into the 4-star Dave at Saratoga. I think he's still going to go into that favor, but probably with a little bit of a bruise on his ego that Alexandra and baby Alexandra ended up beating him across the line. Really incredible finish, and 17-1 odds. The way she'd been running this year, 17-1 was the right price on her. But between that and the Jaipur win, man, she loves beating the boys at Belmont. That's 3 times. I checked. She's beaten the boys 3 times in her career, all 3 times on the Belmont Park turf. So that was pretty damn impressive. Michael Myers says, "Hell hath no fury like a pregnant mare trying to beat up on the boys." Man, she looks so good. It was so nice to see her go out with a win like that. Since you stole mine, I'll say one other thing that I thought was pretty cool that I thought you were going to do was Jon Rahm finally winning a major. Does it on Father's Day and immediately does it on the last hole and immediately walks off the course and he gets his newborn son and walks off. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. That is like as a new father, as you guys being a father, it's like you win a major, you walk off, here's your brand new child and your wife, and you just go off into bliss. And I know he's had a lot of trouble in his career trying to finish. A lot of emotional issues for him. So to see him actually withstand everything, he looks like a new golfer out there. I don't follow it as closely as you or some of the dudes do, but I know enough about Jon Rahm to know that was an especially big win for him on Sunday. So congrats to him as well. Did you get to watch much of the tournament?
I watched some of it. I mean, I've been so slammed sports-wise that the U.S. Open wasn't the A billing for me because my DraftKings lineup wasn't doing that hot. Even though I did have Rahm, 3 people missed the cut. It kind of killed me. But for him to come back, and this is crazy. I mean, first off, we have the Players' Championship where Phil Mickelson wins out of absolutely nowhere, and then he's the most bet player here in the U.S. Open. Jon Rahm had to withdraw from a tournament 2 weeks ago because he had COVID, up 6 strokes. He had to pull out. And then, he's in this U.S. Open. He's down 2 going on to the 17th, and he hits 2 20-plus footers for birdies on 17 and 18 to be able to win the U.S. Open. I mean, absolutely incredible. I love that Torrey Pines course. It's a public course, municipal course. You can actually play it if you want to. So if you're a golfer, you're in Southern California, definitely try and go down there and get on Torrey Pines. But just an awesome way to end that U.S. Open with Jon Rahm going birdie like that. You
used to live in Southern California. Have you been to Torrey Pines before?
Yeah, I have actually. I've been there twice. I played it once. It's a great course. It's hard, very hard, but it's a great course.
I went there once just for dinner several years ago, and I was like, I couldn't believe that we were just able to just walk right in and let's just go to the clubhouse for dinner, and kind of walked around outside a little bit and saw a couple of the holes, and I was like, man, I don't know jack shit about golf. This place is pretty beautiful. This is before I even started getting into golf, and I'm still not good at it. I love golf because you're encouraged to drink outside. And you're encouraged to smoke cigars. And I was like, if I occasionally have to try and smack a little tiny white ball around every once in a while, I'll do that. But mostly, I'm there for the beer and the cigars and the sunshine. So definitely a great course there. Michael Myers says the 4th Open champ ever to win on birdie finish. It's pretty damn awesome. It was just a pretty good day overall, I think, for some dads out there. Before we get into things, Mike, Kevin Olson, I believe this is Kevin Olson in the chat. I just want to thank Kevin Olson publicly because there was some shit that happened last week on Twitter where people just suddenly out of nowhere started attacking you and the dudes and Ricky. Some people really just, I think, was there a full moon or everybody's periods aligned? I don't know what happened. A lot of people were upset over nothing, and Kevin also sent us a really nice email encouraging us and thanking us for everything we do. So I wanted to thank him publicly for that. It was a very nice email. Mike, we got Canterbury Park up. We got the late pick 5. It's a 10% takeout for a 50-cent denomination. We're going to try and get this home. We're going to try and make sure it stays on the turf. Let's get into it. Riders up. That's the second time in a week and a half that I've made that stupid mistake. The first time I blended on having a guest on the show, Michael Myers. This time I got no excuse here. So let's get into things. Like kicking off the late pick 5 sequence on Wednesday, June 23rd at Canterbury Park. Race 6 on the card. This is the $100,000 Lady Canterbury Stakes, field of 9 fillies and mares 4 and up, going a mile on the turf course. Favoritism is on number 8, Evil Lynn, at 2-1. Mike, I made her my top pick, but I went 3 deep here. Where'd you go on top?
I wanted Evil Lynn on top as well. I thought this was, this is a pretty tough sequence overall because you have a lot of horses that are coming in from other tracks. You don't necessarily know how well they run, but you also have a distinct advantage over the Canterbury Turf course specifically because of how it plays. I think being able to run over that course or having run over that course and doing well definitely makes a big difference. And you saw that last year on this night. If you remember back to last year, you saw a lot of these horses that had run well or done well there, run well again. Beach Flower is one of those horses that has kind of done well or quite well at the Canterbury course that ran well. And a couple of in the Ladies Classic last year at Canterbury here, just missing to Streak of Luck. For me, I think Evil Lynn is just kind of the classiest horse. Maker ships in a couple here for these stakes races. If you look at the last couple efforts on grass, man, Evil Lynn's numbers just kind of tower over this group. Facing Zofel, Sweet By and By, Bella Laura, Henley Woods, Past the Plate. I mean, these are very good horses. Would all be heavy favorites in this spot. I think that Evil Lynn is a deserving favorite at 2-1. I am going to try and beat her with one other horse, so I'm only going 2 deep here. But Evil Lynn was an A for me, and one of those where if I played a short ticket, it would probably be a single.
Absolutely. There's a couple of horses that are coming in these turf. There's 3 turf stakes that are kicking things off, which I thought were the easiest of the 5 races to handicap. The 2 things that end this are a little wackier, but the stakes races, they attracted some big name jockeys. You've got Ricardo Santana Jr., Mike Maker here, Flo, Brad Cox. There's a bunch of big names we're going to talk about. I'm with you with Evil Lynn. Third off, she's got so much class here. I think the fact that she just missed by a neck against Optional Claimers at Churchill, I'm not worried about that one. She was between horses, which is a very hard thing for any horse to do, is to explode late and try and beat them. So to dead heat and just miss by a head and a neck. Not going to hold her against her. Let's talk about the other horse you used. I also did. That's the 6 Princess Causeway. I'm impressed that you used her, Mike. I was a little surprised. I thought I was going to get...
I used her, huh?
First off, so she's coming off the bench here, but Ian Wilkes is pretty strong, 13%. She's got that really strong bullet on June 16th at Keeneland that says that she's going to be ready here. A big deal for me, Chris Landeros is his son-in-law. Chris Landeros had a choice between this, I assume, and the 9-horse, another Ian Wilkes runner, Urban Fairy Tale. He chose her despite coming off the layoff, and that last race, the ladies' turf at Kentucky Downs, is on yielding ground, but Regal Glory came back to win next out. Tapit Today, the 3rd-place horse, won next out. Mitchell Road was in between them. She's a pretty damn good horse as well. Here's why I loved her. When she actually gets firm turf, which has only happened 4 times in her career, she's got 2 wins in a second. So assuming we get firm turf, I think that this is going to be really sneaky because people are going to look at her form and say, well, her last 2 turf races were pretty shitty. And before that, she was running on dirt a lot. So is she really going to be that good? I think so, and it sounds like you are too.
Yeah, well, I'm a little concerned here because my idea was to play the 8 as kind of the horse I like, Evil Lynn, and then try and get the 6 as a price. And we're both using this horse. And by the way, I'm proud of you for getting to this horse. Let's be honest. I agree with everything you said. Look, Landeros, well, he's probably not as good of a jockey as Flo. He clearly gets first choice here. He made the choices to stick with the 6-horse here, Princess Causeway for Ian Wilkes. You mentioned it, pretty good off the layoff as well, so I'm not worried about that side of it. This horse just seemed to get better and better and better with age. This is the Son of Giants Causeway. I like the turf pedigree there. AP Indy on the bottom side. I think this horse is just going to keep getting better. And if this horse improves, you do have some buyers that fit with this specific group. You have that 91 buyer. Yes, it was not on the turf when they ran the 91, but at least you see that 91 on the page back at Gulfstream when this horse came absolutely flying home to beat Violent Times. Goes right into a grade 3 on the dirt there, and then you're into a $100,000 stakes in a grade 3 at Kentucky Downs. We discussed how difficult those fields were. I just think this horse is absolutely ready to go, and it's really interesting that you see this horse show up here, right? I mean, there's a lot of different spots you can put this horse. Ian Wilkes doesn't have runners ever at Canterbury. This was a specific decision to send this horse in for this spot. So for this horse to target this spot, I'm expecting a pretty big performance, and I'm hoping to get out of here with just the 6 and the 8.
I did use a stablemate as well, Urban Fairy Tale. Florent Giroux going to ride, which is it. Even though Lannery and Landeros have been riding, Giroux is pretty damn good on the turf. This is a filly who's her buyer speed figures don't match up with the 2 picks that we're using, but she has been improving each start. She's 74, 76, 76, 78. She's in her 4-year-old season. She's a daughter of Distorted Humor out of a Galileo mare, so a mile might almost be too short for her, I'm wondering. But 3 rivals from her last race, 1 next out. Each of them got buyers of at least 80. So that's a key thing for me. I also love that she's going to be losing 7 pounds from what she did last race. She's carried 125. She missed second to a horse named Social Dilemma, who was carrying 118. And then Vespa ended up winning that race, went off to a stakes race. The concern for me a little bit with Urban Fairy Tale, she hung pretty bad in that last race. She's been out-kicked before. The trip notes say that she's not maybe an elite horse here. I'm more banking that she's going to keep improving, with this being her third start at 4, third start off the layoff. But if you're a little gun-shy about maybe she just isn't quite good enough, I understand leaving her off. Is that kind of why she didn't make your ticket?
Well, I'm pretty confident in Evil Lynn here, and that was one of the main reasons I didn't go deeper. She would not have been the next horse on for me. You're going to need to see a big improvement, which is definitely possible. Third off the layoff as a 4-year-old. I mean, it's a logical angle where you're going to see improvement. But if you see low 90s buyers, I think it's going to be very tough for the 9 to be able to step up that much. Also, don't love the outside draw. I think that could be a little bit of compromise. For me, if I was going to go to another horse in here, I thought the 5 was a little bit interesting. It's first time in the Stidham barn. It just came out of the Chad Brown barn, but faced pretty good horses up in New York. And I think the 7 is kind of sneaky. The 7, Best Kept Secrets, could possibly wire this field. And Kelsey Haar is going to definitely send this horse. This horse has run well over this course twice, specifically this Canterbury course, and ran at Oaklawn. And so you see it on the dirt time and time again. It's one thing you have to remember about horses coming from Oaklawn. There's no turf course. So between that Fairgrounds turf course race and the Canterbury race, which rained off the turf, there was no option to get Best Kept Secret on the turf. It had to be running on the dirt if it's at Oaklawn. So I think you might have a better horse on the turf in the 7, and that would be kind of that price play if I was going to take another swing here.
The 7 horse, the only time she's ever done a turf route was here at Canterbury, and she won it gate to wire. So to your point, Mike, that there really isn't much turf on that form, but when it happens there, it's not bad. The sire line of David, I looked, only an 8% turf sire, but this seems to be a horse who can at least handle it a little bit. Questionable about the class and what she's been facing in terms of how she's been doing against them. But she's coming from Oaklawn, which I know you do too, will just give a horse an extra little bit of a bump, even if they weren't running that well. Well, you were at Oaklawn. That's where the best of the best horses go in the springtime. The 5-horse Lady Lawyer, I went back and forth. I ended up leaving her off. My concern, her last 2 races, I think this is one of those classic cases where you've got an older mare that just decided she's done racing. She went from, she had 2 wins in a second in her first 4 starts in America, and then the My Charmer Stakes at Gulfstream, 6 beaten, almost 20 lengths, comes back in 2021. Chad Brown should have her ready to go. No, doesn't run a lick. There's some good horses in there. Robin Sparkles, Caravel were 2nd and 3rd. They both won their next starts. But I'm worried that she just has hit that wall where she doesn't want to run anymore. And at 7-2, it was too short of a price for me to use. I know you didn't use her either, but for me, that's why I left her off.
Yeah, I mean, it was the 7-2 price. It's the fact I think the horse is going to get bet pretty good because of the connections. I mean, Stidham and Loveberry are still top-tiered connections for this. Faced pretty good horses the last couple times out. I'm willing to kind of give her a pass there, but just with this price and the fact that I think this is a pretty competitive field, and again, the presence of the 8, Evil Lynn, who I think is just better than her, it kind of kept me away from using the 5 here.
Let's move on to the next race on the late pick 5 sequence at Canterbury Park on Wednesday, June 23rd. Race 7 is the $100,000 Mystic Lake Mile Stakes. You got a field of 9 males, 4 and up going. You guessed it, a mile on the turf. Favoritism is on number 3 Parlor at 5-2. Ricardo Santana Jr., Mike Maker, back-to-back favorites in turf mile races. I did not make this horse my top pick. I went elsewhere, but did make my ticket. Where'd you go on top?
I thought this race was actually pretty tough. This was one of the ones that I almost considered going the deepest in the entire sequence. I ended up going with the 3 Parlor. Again, I think this is just kind of your classiest horse. I think it's going to work out a pretty good trip. This is one of those spots where there just seems to be a ton of horses that are going to want to be forwardly placed. And so it's going to make it tough for some of the horses that need the lead to be able to go wire to wire here. I think a horse like the 3 Parlor is able to be either on the pace or close to it and able to strike. I like the races at Churchill and the Wise Dan, back-to-back races where it kind of came from off the pace. And look, the A- version of Parlor probably beats this field, right? I mean, let's just be honest. And so for me, I felt like you had to include it. My other must-use horse is right to the outside. I like Summer Assault quite a bit here in this spot. Michelle Boyce doesn't train a bunch of horses, only 28 starts on the year, but 7 of those have gotten home for a 25 win percentage. You know I love Summerfront, Son of War Front, especially when we're going on the turf. And if you really kind of look at this last step up as a 4-year-old here, that race 2 back at Arlington is sneaky good. The horse was favored, runs an 84 buyer. You go back to Canterbury last year, ran the Mystic Lake Derby, $100,000 race, actually won it, right? So you have a win over this track, running an 80 buyer. I think there's a lot to like here at Summer Assault. I think you're getting every bit of that 5-1 price. And I think you could see improvement off of that Arlington Park race. And so if for some reason you don't see Parlor run his best race, I think Summer Salt can pull the upset here at a price.
I did consider Somersault, didn't pull the trigger, but not a pick that I'm going to poo-poo you for. I'm going to take it. I had 3 horses I'm using, and I really couldn't figure out which one I liked as the top play. I almost went with Parlor, but I was like, I can't go chalk back to back for those two. I'm going all the way outside, and this is a very I'm not even sure how much I love this one, but the 9 Hieronymus. This is a Godolphin homebred. Brad Cox trained. Florent Giroux is going to be in this saddle. This horse needs the lead. If you look at the form, if this horse doesn't get the lead, this horse ain't winning the race. This horse does not like to pass horses. As soon as he gets past, throws in the towel, drops out. However, this horse is very fast, has a 112 early time form pace rating, and if there's one jockey in the world who we can trust to quarter horse the shit out of you out of the gate and put you from an outside post on the lead, it's Florent Giroux. So I'm going to hope that is going to be the edge that puts Hieronymus in front, because there is a decent amount of speed in this race. Has some good back class horses that have beaten him. Delaware, Decorated Invader, Smooth Like Straight, Pixelate, Field Pass. I'll beat this horse. 0 for 4 away from Fairgrounds and Ellis Park, though. That's another one that I don't love too much, but does have 2 wins at the distance. Is 4 for 7 on turf here, so I'm going to use. But you can tell in my voice, I'm not super excited about this one.
Yeah, I don't blame you. This was the 3rd horse on my ticket too, and I kind of feel the same way you do. I don't want this horse to knock me out. I do think this is the fastest of the speed, and I think that the 9 draw here is actually a good thing for this horse. You have no choice but to send. No choice at all. And so you can't get cute here. Like you said, Flo is going to quarter horse the crap out of this thing. We're going to be in the lead of the top of the first turn. We're going to be in the lead at the top of the second turn. We may not be in the lead at the top of the stretch. We may not be in the lead at the 16th pole, but I know that this horse is going to be out there. And I just, when you kind of, in my mind, when I picture how do you beat Parlor, right? It's you wire him, and I think the most likely horse is the 9. You have a horse take a big step up. That's kind of a logical improvement angle. That's the 4 Summer Assault, or he kind of gets the job done here. And that's how I landed on these 3 horses.
3rd horse for me is one outside of your price play, and I'm going for an even bigger price play. The 5 Derby Code, 12-1 on the morning line from Mac Robertson, who is just a mainstay at Canterbury. Loves to win there. This horse has won 3 straight against much less class. Is bred for the turf. Son of Looking at Lucky, out of a Kitten's Joy mare, so should definitely love being on the turf for the first time in his career. 10 starts, and we've never once tried turf. I know we raced Oaklawn Park a bunch of times, but come on, Turfway Park has a turf course. Canterbury's got a turf course. We didn't try that yet? Okay. They did at the very beginning when Mike Maker had this horse as a debuter. Tried to put him on the turf at Gulfstream Park West. Got rained off, still ends up winning. Here's the thing. This horse is bred for the turf. I don't understand why we haven't tried the turf a second time until just now, but this horse has got a turf pedigree. 9 of this horse's 10 career starts, Mike, either he won or the winner of that race repeated next out, which tells me the horses he was facing at that class, which is quite a bit lower than this, those horses were very talented for that level. So he was either winning or losing to horses who were very talented at that level. Now he's 4 years old. Mac Robertson has had some time with him since claiming him. I like that the horse's 2 best career efforts since being claimed here. So he's got 2 wins at Canterbury, both of them on the dirt. One of them was in the slop, which can sometimes translate okay onto the turf, but this is a big test for him, a major class test. But if he can improve on the turf with that pedigree, man, 12-1 with Alex Conchari, who's a really talented jockey up there. He and Robertson hook up really well together. I'm going to take a shot. I get why you wouldn't want to use him, because there's a lot of class questions here, but I'm willing to take a shot with him.
Terrible pick. I mean, okay, you could make the Oaklawn argument for why this horse hasn't touched the turf. I'll give you that. But this horse did run on synthetic, which is a turf similar, and didn't run very well. Yeah, the horses that beat him at all won back, but he lost by 6 lengths, 12 lengths, and 10 lengths at $10,000 claimer, $10,000 claimer, and $25,000 claimer. The horse has been claimed 4 times for less than $15,000, and you're playing him in a $100,000 stakes race against the horse who's run 100 buyer on the turf.
Because he's never touched turf before.
Oh,
Let's see what happens.
Okay.
Let's get nuts, Mike. Let's get nuts.
If you want to get nuts, go with the 2 at least. The 2 is the horse that's rarely, that I don't think has touched turf, or maybe once. I believe real quick. Yeah, touched turf once. Lord Dragon. It's a son of Oxbow. You get your boy Ruben Fuentes. Mm-hmm. I think that horse makes a heck of a lot more sense. Ran an 89 buyer as a 91 buyer at Churchill. So if you say, oh, maybe the turf is going to step it up, the horse is going to be able to take a step forward, should be able to come from off the pace. Ruben should get a nice inside trip. I mean, take a swing with the 2, not the 5, if you're going to take a swing with someone.
I don't like that the two. Okay, so he's raced at Oaklawn 4 times out of 22, and he's only been on a turf once. Now, granted, he's been reined off the turf 4 times in his career, including last out when he won at Canterbury in the slop. I almost actually did. It was between the 2 and the 5 for me. So tell you what, if the 5 scratches, I'll go to the King of Canterbury, Ruben Fuentes, and on the 2, Lord Dragon. Yeah, I knew you were going to think that was a little crazy with Derby Code, but listen, if he pops with like just an incredible effort, I'm going to come back on this show on Thursday and laugh. It's going to be great. It's not going to happen.
I'm not worried about that because I'm just going to come Thursday and laugh when he doesn't do anything at all.
He'll still probably be trying to finish the race on Thursday. Let's move on to the third leg of the late pick 5 sequence at Canterbury Park on Wednesday. God, I can't get this day right. Wednesday, June 23rd. Race 8 on the card is the $150,000 Mystic Lake Derby, field of 11 males, all 3 years old, going a mile on the turf course. Favoritism is on number 6, TD Dance at 5-2. Brad Cox, Florent Giroux, another horse that we've got to love. I'm using here as my top pick, but I went 4 deep because I think you can get a little creative here. What'd you do on top?
My top pick, and a horse I almost singled to try and really get a little kooky here, was the 8 horse Modern Science. I think Modern Science has an opportunity to take an absolutely monster step forward here. Second out off the layoff, second out as a 3-year-old. Look, it's a $400,000 son of Galileo. Dixieland Kiss is the dam. Dixieland Kiss is a half to Kiss Mine, who's a 10-time winner, 7 on surf, including multiple stakes, and Kiss Mom, who won on all 3 surfaces, was a 4-time winner, including a grade 3, half to Bahash, who was a Group 2 and 3 winner, the second dam one on turf. I mean, there's a ton of turf in this pedigree.
Look at you doing your research. Damn, I'm impressed.
But the thing to me that really, really stands out, how many times in Ian Wilkes' life did he have a 2 times at Saratoga have the favorite in a turf race, in a maiden special weight at the 2-year-old? I mean, think about who else was in that race. It's Pletchers, it's Browns, it's Motions, it's all of the top turf horses that you see go on to win stakes races. And the Ian Wilkes horse that ran a 46 buyer in its first start at Ellis is your 2.5 or 5-2 favorite, and then runs a 60, which isn't exactly blowing the doors off the place, and comes back as a $1.50 favorite the very next race. I mean, this horse has to be loaded with talent. There's no way this horse isn't loaded with talent. Then comes back. I liked that race at Churchill. I think it ran well to break its maiden, was able to wire the field, did it 135 and 4. Now we get second off the layoff. Wilkes is pretty good there. The horse is training well. Canderos is coming back aboard. I think all systems go here on the 8. I think that 5-1 is a pretty nice price. This to me is, if you want to kind of get sneaky in the pick 5 or the pick 6, you single here and you can spread around it. The last race is a mess. The race before it, if you want to try and beat Parlor, you can try and do that. But I think that the 8 horse here, Modern Science, is a very interesting horse.
I don't like the fact that this is a big step up to me from having faced winners. I think there's a couple of horses here that have plenty of class, but good points from you. I'll add to you as well. The horse that finished second, El Kabong, broke his maiden next out at Churchill Downs in the maiden special weight. Got a 76 buyer, which is about what he got for finishing second to Modern Science. But the fact that the horse that was second that chased him ends up coming back to win his next start, that's always nice in the feather. Also, taking a really low weight of 116 here, has never carried 116 that low before. But you're right. I was looking at this horse. I was like, Ian Wilkes, this horse has had 4 starts. It's hit the board in all 4 starts. Favorite. And I mean, we're like 5-2 is the highest price you got on this horse. So 5-1 now with the big step up here. This is the time to actually take a shot. I mentioned TD Dance as my top pick, 3 for 4 in turf routes, including winning the last 2, once at Fairgrounds and then at Pimlico in the J.W. Murphy Stakes. I love that big step up in class, getting the job done. Looked very effortless, wins by almost 4 lengths there. And it's Brad Cox, it's Florent Giroux. Really shouldn't have to say much more than that. This horse looks really great in this spot. Did you end up using?
I did use TD Dance. I think that TD Dance makes a ton of sense here. I ended up 3 deep here. And look, this is probably your most deserving horse to be the favorite, should be the favorite. Like you said, won 3 starts already. Ran really well last time out at Pimlico and the J.W. Murphy. So I don't see any reason not to use TD Dance. The pace should be fast enough early on so that the horse has something to run into, but it shouldn't be absolutely crazy. And I kind of trust Florent Giroux here. Again, this horse is really bred well for the turf. Can the man into mischief? You got Lemon Drop Kid on the bottom. So I think the 6 is definitely all systems go as well. 6 was actually my second pick in this spot. I went 3 deep. I went back and forth between 2 horses. I ended up using the 2 horse Chess's Dream as my 3rd horse.
Our old boy.
Yeah, look, you kind of scratched that last one off. It was rained off the turf. The horse didn't do anything to do with the mud. Ran well in the du jour race, just wasn't able to quite get it, and was just had a wide trip the whole time. You go back to like the Palm Beach and the Kitten's Joy. This horse was running very, very well against some pretty good horses, and it just kind of fits at this level, fits in this spot. I don't love that it's Santana. We know how I feel about Santana riding on the turf, but going to kind of give it a pass here. This horse is also going to be launching from the back, which I think is a little bit of a disadvantage in this spot, but this is the next classiest horse. I mean, we talked about Ostrolenka and how she was able to get the job done. There were 2 Grade 1 winners in that race. They finished 1-2. You got to kind of look at class on the turf, and that's where the 2 and the 6 stand out. One thing about the 8 real quick, too, you mentioned how like the first time back against winners. This is the spot that I will play that in when it's a 3-year-old stakes race, when you have horses that are taking that step up, but it's not like a 4-year-old going into the N1X allowance level. Like, to me, that's a marginal step up, and it's a horse that kind of is at that. It's already improved, and you've seen a lot of what the horse is going to do. When you have a 3-year-old jumping from a maiden special weight going into a stakes race, they're showing a ton of confidence in the barn, and you also have because they're 3, the light bulb can just go on. So for me, that's kind of the spot where I'm going to take more of those swings versus, going from maiden special weight to N1X or, some of those levels.
I also use Chess's Dream. If you don't know, Mike and I drafted him on I shouldn't say that. I convinced Mike to draft him on our fantasy league. And God damn it, that was actually not a terrible decision, because when he won the Kitten's Joy in January, that got us ultimately, he got us 5 points. That kept us just 5 points further away from finishing last in the league, which was finished very tight in the fantasy league. So never did end up touching the dirt until the slop and pen, and that's the second time he's been in the slop. Hated it both times. I'm with you. Scratch it off. Plenty of class here. You poo-pooed Ricardo, but we've both, the other 2 maker horses we used in the earlier legs, Ricardo was riding, so we're using there.
You kind of have, that's a problem though. Like, it's maker though. So you get what I would say probably the best turf trainer for the most part, the best turf trainer, but you get, in my mind, the worst turf jockey of everybody out there. So it's like, not everybody out there, the majority of them out there. So like, to me, it's just one of those where you kind of take a pause. Also, I'm usually comparing Ricardo Santana to the New York circuit of jockeys, and so this is not quite that same level of ability that you see in New York.
I used 2 other additional horses here. I'll go to the rail. King of Miami. This is a Son of American Pharaoh out of a Fleet Alex mare, so should definitely love the distance. Last time out, tried setting the pace as the favorite. Faded at Arlington Park. But I love that Larry Ravelli gets that horse. That was June 10th. June 18th. 3 furlong blowout. Okay, now we're going to the Mystic Lake Derby. Like, they're stepping the horse up off of that, and that 3 furlong blowout really caught my attention. I also love that this was bred, owned, and trained by Wesley Ward. Did a private sale after breaking the maiden back in May at Belmont Park. But if you look at the second start, Wesley Ward's not a turf route trainer. If I see Wesley Ward horses turf route, you've got to be a monster against a bunch of mules for me to want to play you. Send him to Saratoga. Stretches him out, faces Modern Science, who we just talked about. So I like that this horse has grown a little bit more. I didn't use Modern Science, so you could use that against me. But I also like this horse is fast. Might not be the absolute fastest, but is going to be on the inside and going to be able to save some ground and not be way too far back. I'm a little concerned that the 11 horse might be a little faster at least, but I think that especially with that inside draw is going to work well here. Jareth Loveberry is a really talented jockey. I don't like that I haven't used him up to this point, so it kind of scared me a little bit. He and Ravelli are 37% through 225 mounts together with a $2 ROI. So that tells me that the 2 of them work really well together. The last one I use is the 7 Shady McGee. First of all, I love the name. Second of all, I love that this is a Mike Maker trained horse. Taking another big step up. Won last out at Churchill Downs. $30,000 claimer, non-winners of 2 lifetime. Big class step up. Also, my big concern here, this horse causes so many problems for himself. Let's look at the trip notes. Last races, lugged in, troubled first turn, awkward start, off slow, dwelt, hung left inside, drifted left, broke awkwardly. This horse is a goddamn mess. But you know what the difference was last time as opposed to every other race, the 9 other races in his career? He finally caught firm turf for the first time. The first time in his career, he finally catches firm turf, comes from off the pace after stalking, gets the job done. I don't know much about the jockey Butler, but is 19% at the meet with 9 wins, so is doing okay. This horse is bred to like the turf. I just have to hope that this horse can stay out of his own goddamn way for once in his life and get the job done here. 12-1 is a good price for a horse who's taking a big step up in class from the claiming level.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't as bad as your pick last race, so I'm not going to poo-poo it. But I did not look at the 7. I just looked at the 7 now, and I'm still not going to use the 7. The one I looked at quite a bit, I actually watched the replay of the last race. It was pretty bad. And I have concerns that Wesley Ward privately sold this horse. Because look, the reason this horse didn't sprint again is because it's slow. And so if it needs the lead, because it's only passed one horse in its career, if it needs the lead and it's slow, that's not a great combination. And if you watch that race at Arlington, the horse goes off at a sub 2-1 favorite, gets 24, 48, 112, and can't hold running 24s. That's a problem because they're not getting 24s this time. And so if you're going to have to go faster than that and hold better against better horses, because there wasn't anyone that really came out of that Arlington race either. So for all of those reasons, I felt the one was just one that like I can't get there. If this horse was good, Wesley would have kept him. And that, like even the turf sprinty one went 23:47. Like
Pretty slow.
pretty slow.
But it's New York turf fractions. Come on.
Not in turf sprints. They still go fast in New York turf sprints. It's just when they're going a mile that they decide to go 55-4. The 11 on the outside would be the next in for me and may make the ticket if there's some scratches here. This is one of those look, this is your fastest horse. Ruben is going to 100% send. We'll see how far we can go. We'll see what happens, right? I mean, this horse has run some big buyers. You've got an 82 back on the turf. That was in a 5.5 furlong turf sprint, but that was at Keeneland. This horse won a stakes race at Keeneland and beat Cohen, and then went to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint. Okay, let's just think about that for a second here. Like this horse has faced the best horse, Golden Pal of anyone in this race, and was able to win the prior race going into it. And it was a big time stakes at Keeneland. So I respect the 11 quite a bit. I'm concerned about the distance. I'm concerned about the post. But if someone scratches, the 11 would be the first one in for me.
You know what's funny? That's my exact note on here is play if there are enough scratches because I'm worried about that post. So I did a little deep dive on the breeding here because I don't know a whole lot about the Washington State breeding program. I don't know if you do, but the sire Attaboy Roy 0 for 12 is a turf route sire. And in fact, the only 2 wins that Attaboy Roy has gotten for progeny on turf have both been with Bodenheimer. However, the Dam, Beautiful Danielle out of AP Indy, is a 3-time turf route winner, also one going 8 furlongs on the Belmont turf. So the Dam side says should be able to handle it, has the speed. The question is, will the post compromise, and can Ruben get him to just calm down a little bit because that one horse is slow. This horse is the opposite. 21-3 is just pretty much a given for this horse for that opening fraction. With Ruben on the gas pedal or not, this horse is going to go 21-3. So we'll see what happens. I was really sad that the last race, Prairie Meadows, was in the mud because I didn't think the horse had a shot in hell there. But I really was curious to see how he's going to do. Didn't run worth the damn, but we'll see what happens. We'll move on to the next leg here of the late pick 5 sequence at Canterbury Park on Wednesday, June 23rd, race 9. Mike, this is when it gets real interesting because now we're dropping down into the horses which have never won a race other than maiden claiming starter or state bred allowance, or which have never won 2 races or claiming price of $12,500. This is the female version. The male version will be next up. Here we have a field of 8 fillies and mares, 3 and up. Favoritism is number 7, Very Good at 5-2. They're going 6 furlongs on the main track. You and I almost had a single here at the same time. Take it away.
Yeah, I considered singling the 7, who I think is probably the best horse. But man, I've got some serious concerns. In this race, both of these races are very difficult, right? If you want to go short early on some of the favorites and spread around here and see if you can get prices in these 2 races that are a lower level of class, and you're not seeing that same type of horse, I totally don't blame you. Look, I looked at almost every single horse in this field and gave it a consideration. The 7 horse just, in my mind, has been facing better when it was running at Oaklawn Park in those $93,000 maiden special weights. Just missed both times, was within 2 lengths of the lead both times. Comes to Canterbury. Don't love the fact that we broke our maiden on the turf because this is not on the turf. This is a declaration of war horse, and Dec of War has obviously done well, both dirt and turf. But anytime it's a war front, I'm going to be more leaning toward turf than I am going toward dirt. But this race just sets up really well for this horse. There is an abundance of speed.
Oh, yeah.
And the 7 horse is just your most logical horse that has tactical speed that can come from off the pace. A lot of horses in here don't like to pass each other, and you got a lot of horses that want to be on the front end. So for me, the 7 makes a ton of sense. But this is one of those spots where I am really concerned about going from maiden special weight up into that allowance level, which we discussed earlier. And not only that, it's one of just 2 of the 3-year-olds that are in this spot. And the 3-year-olds facing older is also one of those concerns. So tell me, Magic, why are you using both 3-year-olds?
Well, there's 3 3-year-olds. I'm using 2 of them, but
Okay,
I'll stick with Very Good. Her race 2 back at Oakland. First off, started at Oaklawn Park, back-to-back races. Almost broke her maiden on debut, running for 12-1 price. You're not going to get that again for a while in this horse's career. But the second race, the horse that won, I'm sorry, the fourth place horse won next out with a 67 buyer. The winner, Sayonara, was second at Churchill Downs in the 7 furlong sprint, got a 72 buyer that day, so good class there. Last race here, it's not going to show up on my form because I downloaded it yesterday, but yesterday the third place horse, Della Frost, did win. Also, Faded Memories, the second place horse, won next out as well. So has been facing good horses for those maiden levels. I don't mind so much that it was on turf. It was a little, I'm with you, it's a little slightly concerning, but the horse had run well on dirt before. I really like this horse. Is not only going to be good tactical speed based on the form, but it's going to be really fit on the cutback because that was at a mile. Now we're cutting back to sprint. And when you have horses that are going to be blazing out there in ridiculous speeds, I think that's going to work really well in Very Good's favor. Speaking of blazing speed, the 6 Just a Kiss Away is the second horse I used, and I told you off air before we started, I was like, it's all red on my form. Like, I just have all these question marks, and yet I'm using because I think that if this horse can overcome all the big concerns I have, this horse is freaking fast. Granted, that was a Turfway Park where it's kind of like Los Al dirt, where it's a pavement, man. You fly, but this is a horse who was 1-2 on debut. Was the first horse out of the Tappet Dam. So people knew this was up. Sired by Twirling Candy. Twirling Candy's been really hot. Was a $50,000 purchase. You don't see too many $50,000 purchase price horses at Turfway Park. The second and third place horses both came back to win their next starts. But if you watch that race, she was really fast. She never changed her leads in this stretch. And that's my big concern because now we're going from 5.5 to 6 from an extremely speed favoring track to one that's not so speed favoring and much tougher competition. If she doesn't change her leads again, that's going to cost her. Going an extra half furlong especially is going to cost her against this group. But I think it's a big if, but if she can get that lead thing figured out, this horse is just really fast and I don't want to be burned by this horse who was so fast on debut and is now 8-1 on the morning line here when she was 1-2 on debut. I'm going to use her here, but that 3-year-old factor against olders, oh, God, this hurts so much.
Yeah, this one scares me a lot. I mean, there's a lot, like, look, the second and third place finishers both came back to win their next start. They both went wire to wire in those starts. The third place finisher actually won a stakes race after that, going 21 and change, 44 and change, so absolutely flying as well. I mean, so, look, I don't disagree with you that there's a lot of reasons to like the 6 horse. But man, I mean, I can't swallow a short price on this horse, which I think 8-1 is a pipe dream. I think it's going to be lower than that when it comes race day. The fact that you have some pretty good workouts at Canterbury makes me think that the horse is handling the track. But like, you see like a 58-4 workout, 58-1 workout at Turf Paradise, and then you see 47 workouts at Canterbury. It's a second slower at Canterbury. Right. And I assume this horse just works well because of all the works are pretty solid. So I'm concerned that speed is not going to translate. And not only that, you're going 6 furlongs and you're facing much better horses. That was an optional claimer race down there. It wasn't a maiden special weight. They were in for a tag as well. She is not the only speed here. I think it's a she, right? Am I she?
Yep.
Yeah.
These are she's.
Nailed it. She is not the only speed here. And it's a pretty big step up, right? So I looked at this horse quite a bit, but I just could not get to the 6 Just a Kiss Away. I think that the 8 horse is an awfully live horse as well. So that's the second horse that I'm going to use here. The 8 horse is coming from Oakland. That's one of the key things here for me. So Undecided Certainty is the name. This horse struggled, and then it won, going 6 furlongs and maiden 12,500 by 3 lengths. Since that win, the light bulb has just come on for this horse. It's won 2 of the 3 starts since at 17-1 and 27-1. This is a pretty significant drop in class, if you ask me. You're going from an allowance at Oakland that's $12,500 to a $12,000 non-winners of 1 here. You're dropping in class. And the one thing I really like about this horse, we have tactical speed. The horse won on the front end, going 6 furlongs, going 22, 45 and 2, 58 last time. But if you go back to breaking its maiden, it won at 6 furlongs coming from off the pace. So this horse is a consistent trier. You're going to get a good effort from the 8 horse. It doesn't need the lead, but it can be tactical. So you're able to have either running style. So if the 6 is slower than we expect, the 8 may be able to get the lead. The 8 can stalk and be able to go around horses late if it needs to. It's not, like I said, there's a bunch of speed here. The 8's willing to pass horses. So I ended up just going on the 7, the 8. But man, like when I was going through this, I thought you could make a case for the 1 horse. I thought you could make a case for the 4 horse. I thought you could make a case for the 6 horse. So this is a tough race. I'm going to try and get out of here 2 deep so I can go 5 deep in the last. But I do see why people would want to go a couple different directions here.
The 1 and the 3 were the 2 older horses that I was seriously considering. And a big reason is between the 2 of them, they have 15 wins and 75 starts. Like these 2 horses have seen it all. They've beaten a lot of it. This is going to be nothing new for them. And they might see a couple of 3-year-olds that look pretty fast and a little full of themselves, and they're just going to laugh and go, okay, watch this young one. The 8-horse I didn't use, but to your credit, you have 2 next out winners from that last race. Also, this is an Arkansas bred who raced 5 times at Oaklawn Park, 6 times in her career. Never once against Arkansas breds. I mean, that's what that you never what I mean, I get if you're okay, we're gonna take a shot once or twice against open company, never to try Arkansas breds, and that's the one track you can do that. I mean, that's they have a lot of confidence in this horse to do that.
Look at that improvement though from this horse in this 4-year-old season. I mean, going like just consistently been stepping up. The race 2 back didn't break well, was going 5.5 furlongs, just draw a line through that one. The other 3 6 furlong efforts, 47, 65, 70 buyer, the light bulb just kind of went on for this horse. I think this is one of those horses where it just figured out what it was supposed to do in the 4-year-old season and just keeps getting better.
The one other concern I have, and we can move on, 4-1 price. Mike, how many times in this horse's career has she been 4-1? 0. The lowest she's ever been was 5-1 in her second career start. Since then, she's been double digits in all but 1 start since then. So I'm a little worried that we went from having the wedding the last few starts. It looks like it might be the funeral. Do you have any concern there?
This is an easier field. It's probably the easiest field. When she's never been in this good of form against this bad of a field either, right? I mean, so if I'm going to make the argument that she's been 50-1, well, she kind of deserved to be 40-1 in some of those races and 25-1 in some of those races. You look at this specific race, the form that she is currently in the field she is facing. I think 4-1 actually it's kind of generous. I mean, if you don't like the 6. And the 4 is coming up from I think the 4 is a threat. The 3 I think has no chance at winning. I think the horse can't hold. And so that's a need to lead horse that's going to quit. And there's a ton of speed in here. To me, it's the 1 and the 2 that you got to look at outside of it. And so I think 4-1 is pretty generous on the 8.
We'll move on to the last race of the late pick 5 sequence at Canterbury Park on Wednesday, June 23rd. As I mentioned, this is the male version of what we just talked about. Field of 8 geldings, all geldings 3 and up, going 6 furlongs on the dirt. Non-winners of 1 other than. Favoritism is on number 4, Race Angel, the Minnesota bred, at 5-2 with Luis Fuentes in the saddle. Did use, not my top pick. Where'd you go on top?
Not my top pick either. I went to the 2-horse. Discreet Tiger is my top pick. We're getting 6-1 on this horse. Look, I like the races at Fairgrounds. I thought the horse ran really well there. We got the McLean Robinson barn clicking off at 23% here. Second out as a 4-year-old. This horse showed speed, dueled, was 3 wide, and then just kind of let it go a little bit in the lane. We're coming off a 2-month layoff. Now we're getting the second start off that layoff. This is your inside speed here. I think the 2 horses have a shot at wiring this field. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the 2 as my top pick in this spot. Other must-use, I'm going to go to the 6-horse Crime Spree. This one's interesting. I mean, Eric Heltzman, not exactly great on the training side. He's only 2 for 38 this year, 5%. He's run 9 horses here at Canterbury. None of them got in the winner's circle, but 3 have hit the board. So that at least, gives me a little bit of encouragement there. We haven't seen this horse since Fairgrounds on February 12th. All 4 of those races, or all last 3 races at Fairgrounds, I think are all good enough to win this race. This is a significant drop in class. Bezos looking for lucky, game day plan, field day, all on the card here. $50,000 allowance, $51,000 allowance, $75,000 stakes. This is a pretty significant drop. And then you look in that bullet, workout 2 back, June 7th at Canterbury, 46 seconds on that over this track. Yeah, I think the 6 horse is really dangerous. So I got 2 horses at 6-1 each. They're my must-uses here. You
also got King Fury and Superstock. You look back on the a little bit further on the page there too. Didn't use. The big reason was the trainer. I'm a little concerned that the trainer is 0 for 16 in allowance and 0 for 11 off of such a similar layoff, but has had good class, and this definitely looks like an easier field on paper than what he was facing down at Fairgrounds. It worries me that you and I went 3 deep. You used all 3 of those horses. None of those 3 horses are the 2 that you just mentioned. So I'm going to hope that your must-use is kind of falter here a little bit. I'm going to go with my top pick all the way to the outside, the 8 Samurai Cause, which I think was the last one that you added on your ticket. This is Robertino Diodoro horse with Lindy Wade in the saddle. They're 26% at Canterbury, 23% away for overall. This horse kind of reminds me of Casa Creed, where you're going to have one really excellent performance and the next one is a dud. And then a really great performance and the next one's a dud. You got to kind of try and get this horse when he's peaking. And this is when it's going to peak, because last out was pretty bad. But 2 back with Lindy Wade. All this, by the way, was going 6 furlongs at this level, was drawn all the way outside, gets second, misses by just a head. 75 buyer that day. If you go 4 back, we're going to go to Sam Houston, 25,000 claimer non-winners of 3 lifetime. Gets the win, drawn all the way outside, 75 buyer. Either of those two efforts wins this race. I'm fairly confident in that. And oh, by the way, it trained by a guy who has twice as many medication violations as Bob Baffert does in the same time period. So all those things tell me Samurai Cause is probably going to be pretty loaded here. I love the outside draw, and I know I was able to convince you to add him at the last second on your ticket.
Yeah, Diodoro's going to Diodoro, so he made the ticket. I mean, that's really the reasoning behind it. I didn't love that race two back. It looks great on paper, but they went 21 and change, 44 and change, and the horse was 15 lengths back, 14 lengths back, something like that, and got a dream rail trip. And that's why I was able to close so stoutly, was able to save all the ground and then kind of swing out and almost made it up to the lead. Look, there is enough speed in here that I'm concerned that someone could do something like that as well. And like you said, Wade is a good jockey over this circuit. So I'm going to go ahead and include the Diodoro, but I don't have a ton of faith in it. But I don't want Diodoro to beat me in the last leg. That's really the main reason this horse made the ticket. I'm surprised we've gotten this far and we haven't talked about the 4 Rays Angel. Another horse that has a just ton of speed, went 21 and 1, 43 and 4, 2 back over this Canterbury turf. That was its last effort as a 5-year-old, returns as a 6-year-old and in turf sprint. The race ends up getting rained off. Horse doesn't run great, but that was a turf sprint stakes race. The race prior to that was a stakes race. This is a $12,000 optional claimer that this horse is in for the $20,000 tag. I'm a little concerned we're in for the tag right off that effort. I get why you have to because of the conditions. But this is probably the best horse in the race if it can run back to those previous efforts. I'm just not completely confident it can. So this, for me, is one of those defensive use type horses, but a pace player and definitely dangerous.
And the reason I use this horse and not the 2, I think they're both going to contend. They have the speed to go up there and contend with each other for that early lead. Unlike the 2, from what I remember, the 4 has shown the ability to pass horses a little bit. So if they're going dueling, and the 4 might be just a little bit ahead, I'm afraid that the 2, especially if he's buried on the inside, might end up throwing in the towel. If he does beat the 4 to the lead, though, which it sounds like you might be anticipating, it might not matter at that point. It's odd to me that this horse has got 5 wins from 19 starts, has never won in 6 tries going this distance. But I like that Luis Fuentes, the younger brother of the King of Canterbury, is going to be staying in the saddle here. Great stats all around for trainer Michael Beeler, 24% at the meet right now, 8 of 33. Second off of that layoff, like you mentioned, is pretty good. The 1, Dried Pepper, this is the last one that made both of our tickets. Is it Calbred? First of all, pretty kind of cool. Calbred's coming out here to Minnesota. Has been out here actually for a couple of races. Got second with the Broberg barn. He gets second. Broberg claims, enters for $10,000 right back. Loses it to Chris Richard, who claims, but did get the win that day. Rye Eichelberry has ridden this horse through 3 barn changes now. That's a big deal to me. I love when I see a good, talented rider like Rye Eichelberry, who's near the top of the jockey standings right now, continue to ride the same horse no matter what barn it's in. He's 4 for 16 overall racing for the Chris Richard barn. Horse has won at this distance at Canterbury. He's 3 for 8 when he catches fast dirt, which is pretty good. Has never missed the board in 4 tries on the Canterbury Park dirt. So all those factors I like. I think this horse is going to have good tactical speed. I just hope he doesn't get buried inside of too many horses going into that turn, because that's always a little bit of my concern.
Yeah, I'm with you. I kind of looked at that race back at Delta when they went 6.5. The horse was sitting in 5th in a 7-horse field and was able to get the job done from that middle trip. I think the fact that you have enough speed in here in the 2 and the 4, he might actually sit a really nice trip in here. It's the question of whether or not he's going to be able to get room, because you're going to have a rail ride and you're going to have to find that 2 path or go on the rail to be able to get through. And it could get a little dicey for Dried Pepper. I like the fact that these are good barns too. We were going from high percentage barn to high percentage barn. Was claimed out of the Joel Brandt barn, who's 18% goes to Carl Broberg, 19% goes to Chris Richards, 16%. So you're getting consistently good trainers that are taking these. I think it's interesting that we're now protecting the horse as well. This is a 3-year-old who had been running against better previously. So the horse was at the lowest claiming level of its life. That's where it gets claimed out of. There's still room for improvement here. Don't love the fact that we're 3-year-old facing older, but again, I do like the fact that, like as you mentioned, Eichelberry rides through all of these claims. So it's been not once but twice that he's ridden through the claim now. By the way, Ray's Angel, last horse has passed, April 20th, 2020 at Will Rogers Downs.
Don't you be hating on Will Rogers. This is a pro Will Rogers Downs podcast. Thank you very much.
I'm just saying, it's been a minute.
Boy, it was July 2020 for Discreet Tiger. So yeah, we're right about the same spot there. That was with the Canterbury Park turf. So and with Mac Robertson training. So yeah, it's. I mean, either way, with these speed horses, it's a little bit of a stretch. But these speed horses, you really got to hope that they can hold on because a lot of times they like to throw in the towel. Dried Pepper, 3-year-old facing olders, doesn't concern me here because 3 of his last 4 starts were against older horses. Got a win in a second out of it. So. Not as concerning because we have proven form as a 3-year-old facing older horses. A little bit different in some situations, but not enough to bother either one of us because we ended up using the horse.
Yeah, I mean, I think you still, like I said, I felt like this race was wide open. I think it's really hard to figure out how fast they're going to go, and if they end up going 21:44, then it's a crapshoot in a lot of ways. And then you got to find horses that can pass, and you got to find out who's going to be really kind of coming down the lane because if they go 21:44, the 7 horse is going to be doing something it's never done, and that's coming from 10 lengths off it, right? And so you're going to have new running styles for some of these horses where even though they may be the most talented horse, their game is being adjusted because of the 2 and the 4 horse specifically who can just gas it. So it's going to be awfully interesting to see how the early pace plays out, and I think that's really going to dictate who's going to be able to win this race, and it could create chaos here. I mean, this was one where I considered going all if I could get there.
Yeah, I said that but to you off air before we started. I almost singled the 7 in the previous race just so I could smash the all button here. The 6 scratches out of that last race. I think that's what I'll end up doing there.
Yeah, I mean, I would single the 8 in the previous one and try and get a 5-1 single home that I think would really blow it up versus singling the 3-year-old favorite who's coming from who's kind of who just won on the turf and now is facing winners for the first time. I have a little more faith in the Landeros horse with Ian Wilkes, which is kind of crazy.
Say that one more time, Mike.
Yeah, I know.
What'd you say?
I kind of slowed down. I wasn't sure if I wanted to. But this is a fun sequence, man. We got the 10% takeout, as we mentioned. We've got the pick 6, which hopefully carries over into this day with 10% takeout as well. It's a dollar denomination. So great midweek track to play. A little bit later post times, too. So, get off work, and you got some nice racing to go here. So show Canterbury some love, man. It should be a good time on Wednesday.
That's going to do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show. Thanks so much for joining Mike and I. Like Mike said, this is a really fun sequence. It's fun to support these tracks. Give us the 10% low takeout on the pick 5. We like doing these midweek sequences. If you like it, let us know. We can start doing more of them. If you're watching live or the replay, thanks so much. Give us a like, a thumbs up, anything you do to help us out. Would really appreciate improving the algorithms for you. We got the tickets below. One last time, we'll go through them for 50 cents. I'll start off. I'm going 689 with 359 with 1267. Then 6-7, and then 148. That is a $108 ticket. Mr. Samich.
I'm going to go with, I'll play a 50-cent pick 5 ticket. I'm going to go 6-8 with 349 with 268 with 7-8 with 12468 for 50 cents. That'll cost you $90.
Make sure you check out Blinkers Off. They'll be live later this week on Thursday. Ricky's Rockets is now on the handicapping products page, so he graduated to the big leagues. Congrats to Ricky. You can check out his products. You can check out the Summel Bombs, the premium products. They're all right there. If you have any questions about them, we have some helpful articles for it. Mike Samich has a really nice explanation of what his product is like. Ricky's got one up there that he did as well. He tried to copy right off of what you had done, so hopefully that works out well for him. I don't know, Mike. I don't know what we're going to do later this week. I was so focused on Canterbury. Churchill Downs. Oh, that's right. Churchill Downs has a big weekend coming up. This is their closing weekend. Stephen Foster Stakes, who's a Breeders' Cup winner for the Classic, is this Saturday. We also have the Fleur de Lis, which is a Breeders' Cup winner for the Distaff. 7 stakes in total at Churchill Downs on Saturday. So, of course, we're doing an inside track to the Stephen Foster Stakes wagering guide. It'll be available for pre-sale at racingnews.com pretty shortly. You can check that one out. Mike, I mean, looking at the rest of that, Santa Anita's off. Belmont doesn't really have much going on. They got the Mother Goose, but with the Fleur de Lis, I feel like all the good horses are going to be there. By the way, Latruska, Vault, Spice is nice, Envoûtant. There's some really good horses going to that Fleur de Lis. So, I don't know. I feel like we need to do Churchill this weekend. Yeah,
let's do Churchill. I love it. And we're for America's Best Racing. We're doing the Big Race Showdown as well. We're kicking it off this weekend with 2 of those races from Churchill as well. So I'll already be handicapping those and checking them out. That's always a fun day too. That Stephen F. Foster card is usually very, very good. And then, hey, look at this. Canterbury on FS2 tomorrow night. So yeah, you don't even have to be that degenerate. You can just watch it on TV. You don't have to be staring at your computer screen for it. So definitely show Canterbury some love. Yeah, let's do Churchill on Saturday, and we'll take it from there. Man, I can't believe we are less than a month from opening day at Saratoga and Del Mar. Saratoga for sure. Del Mar late.
Yeah, July 18th. Because Tiz Magician targeting the Grade 3 Cougar 2 which is a 1.5-mile race on the dirt at Del Mar, aka the local prep for the Breeders' Cup Marathon, which will be back at Del Mar later this fall. So yeah, July 18th for Del Mar, and I think Saratoga is just a little bit before that.
And just so everyone knows how crazy Magic is, when I came into the background of the show, he was just watching the Tiz the Magician race on full screen, watching Tiz win. He like doing nothing else, just sitting there staring full screen at Tiz the Magician winning the race in the StreamYard thing. He could just be watching it on his computer. He could be like, no, it's in the StreamYard, and he's in the background just watching this race. So Magic is like, I'm not sure if he's more proud of his own son or Tiz the Magician at this point. It's like it's neck and neck. It's a toss up.
They put each one pokes their nose in front based on the day or what's going on or how fussy one of them's being. That's usually how that works.
Depends how many diapers you've changed that day with who's your winner.
Oh, there's always more poop. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Curtis Kellaward. He is at SummerBomb18, number 1, number 8. Corporal Awards at Racing_Dudes. We'll be back on Thursday to cover the Churchill Downs late pick 4 sequence. Make sure you check out the handicapping products page for the Summel Bombs, Ricky's Rockets, the premium products, and of course the Inside Track wagering guide to the Stephen Foster Stakes. Until Thursday, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
Good luck this week.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.